So today we're talking about language, more specifically the rules of language. Now your book of chapter 2 talks about two broad types of language rules. They talk about regulative rules, which governs when, how, where, and with whom we talk about certain things. It also talks about constitutive rules, and those are more concerned with the meaning that we find in and through communication. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to tell you about 4 other rules that you need to be aware of, and these can show up on things like your midterm exam or your quiz if I choose to do that. So these rules fall into those 2 broad types. The first rule that I'm going to tell you about falls into the regulative rules category, and it's pragmatic. We have pragmatic means practical, so we have certain rules that we follow just because they're practical. So imagine that you work with somebody and they're a real talker. They're always going on and on and on. And let's say also that you've had a bad day, that you were late getting up, maybe your alarm clock didn't go off, and then on the way to work, you got a flat tire. You got all dirty trying to fix the flat tire, came in late, dirty, tired, and your boss gets onto you about something that you should have done the night before, maybe it was due early that morning, and you just didn't make it. So you're all bummed out and you've had a bad day. I mean, just a heck of a bad day. And you see the talker coming towards you in the hall. They ask you, "So, how's it going?" Do you tell them the truth? Do you go into detail about your day? Or do you just say, "Everything's great," and keep on walking? That illustrates the pragmatic rule. Pragmatically, we don't have time to tell that talker about our really bad day. We want to decompress and then get on with it. So it's a practical rule. Constitutive rules, there are 3 sub-rules that I want to talk to you about today. The first one is a phonemic rule. Phonemes govern how we pronounce certain words or phrases. And so, for instance, in the English language, TH usually says th. So it's got that air passing through your teeth sound to it. So th. But we have certain rules in the English language about when we don't pronounce TH in the th way. So for instance, the name Thomas, or the spice thyme, or the river in England, the Thames. So we have certain rules that govern how we pronounce words, and then rules about when those pronunciations no longer hold water. So that's phonemic rules. The next rule that I'm going to talk to you about is syntactic rules. Syntactic rules govern the order in which we say certain words in a sentence. So for instance, in English, we would say, "The brown car drove past." That's not the same way in Spanish or French, right? You wouldn't say "the brown car," you would say "the car brown." So the order of the words, that's what keeps us from sounding like Yoda, for instance. Okay, so we've talked about phonemic rules governing pronunciation. We've talked about syntactic rules governing the order of the words that we say. The last one that I want to talk to you about is semantic rules. Semantic rules deal with word choice. So in one situation, I might refer to marriage. In another situation, I might refer to civil unions or partnerships. So that's semantics. You can also find semantics in things like jargon, or in a specific workplace, you might use one word over another. When I first met my husband, he kept saying that he had to stay up late and work on a deck. And I kept thinking that he was building a deck in his backyard. But I found out that in his place of work, a deck is really a PowerPoint presentation, because it's created like a deck of cards. So one on top of the other. And I just kept thinking that he was talking about a physical wooden deck, maybe with a bar or something. But he was talking about a deck because that was the semantic choice of his workplace. It was to call that PowerPoint presentation a deck. So there you have it, some more rules that govern our language, more than just the broad types that are discussed in Chapter 2. And I hope that you can put these into practice this week as you think about language that people use and the language that you use with others. Thanks.